Welcome, Phil. How's it going?
It's going well, Matt. How are you doing?
All right. I want to thank you for being here. There's been plenty of stories this past year about military housing. Frankly, most of them have not been good, but we know that DoD and its housing partners like the Lendlease are making great strides towards improving military housing and really kind of paving the way for what I think is going to be the future of military housing. So I wanted to give you a chance to come on and really ask you some questions about this as a kind of the subject matter expert and CEO over at Lendlease. The first one, it seems that military housing has, as I just said, been in the news right before COVID, the pandemic hit, and really even now as Congress takes up the hearing. Can you catch us up on what's been happening and what's been going on?
Yeah, absolutely. Ever since the first SASC hearing, we participated in all the hearings to make sure we had a voice at the table and could answer any inquiries from either the Senate Armed Services Committee or the House Armed Services Committee. And after the first meeting, we went back to our portfolio and did a complete review of our operations. We had already rolled out the military cafe app for our residents, but we put a big push on communicating how responsive that would be for meeting the needs of placing a service order into our system. We had worked with Yardi to get some improvements right away where they can now submit a picture of their concerns or an issue they may have with their home, automatically loads. We created a new maintenance service order reception center that's staffed by our property management team to receive those service orders, either by computer, app, phone call, the old-fashioned way. And so scheduling software has been improved. It sends a notice to our residents when the service technician's on the way to their home. So we went back and looked at those type things. We looked at a system our property management team calls Maintenance University to increase even more training for our staff. And so we've made a lot of improvements to make sure that we're absolutely providing great service, not just good service to our families going forward.
Well, that's great news. I think, a lot of people have been wondering about this new technology. Those are pretty awesome apps. I wish I had that when I was living in some military barracks back in the day. So I wanted to kind of talk a little bit more broadly about the housing market. It's not just privatized housing these days that are making headlines. Housing markets across the country are on fire right now. In fact, I read an article last week that highlighted the top 20 hottest markets in the country. And I was really kind of shocked to see that 25% of those were defense communities. How is that impacting military families, both on and off the base?
Well, I'll talk off the base first of all. It increases the sales prices. The sale prices have gone up in most markets close to 20% due to the cost of commodities that are utilized in new construction. And then the market, of course, chases after that of current inventory outside the gate. Inside the gate, of course, it affects the cost of repair parts, new construction materials and commodities. And so we have to watch that really carefully. We use our national supply group that's located here in our corporate office in Nashville for our Department of Defense business. And they keep on top of that, manage it really well across our portfolio, alert us to trends and so forth. We've been chasing the lumber pricing. Lumber got up to $1,400 a board feet. It's now back down to $1,200. So we're watching that. So hopefully we can catch it when it's at the right price and what we have budgeted for the new construction we're about to start.
And speaking of that new construction, you, Lendlease, just announced that it'll be investing over $1 billion in military housing improvements. Can you walk us through what this will mean for defense communities and military installations?
Yeah, absolutely. We had, since the initial development period's concluding, we've got ongoing right now currently around $600 million worth of work across our current portfolio, including an energy savings program out in Hawaii for about $150 million that we have executed on, that we're about 80% complete on that project. And so we had that work undergoing, but Secretary McCarthy, the former Secretary of the Army, and General Daly at Army Material Command, approached us and said, is there any way we can look at bringing funding forward and to really start doing some work on some of our projects? So our CEO and I met with them last July. We went to the capital markets, were able to get a very high credit rating across our Army portfolio, and went to Guggenheim Private Investment Company, and we arranged to borrow $1.1 billion in a new credit facility, which of course is great for MHPI, as it's not an appropriated dollar source from Congress. So it's private debt. And we sat down with General Daly and Lieutenant General Doug Gabram, the installation management commander, and said, okay, this is what we have. Now let's sit down as a group and understand what the Army's wishes are, where we should spend the amount of money divvied up across our 6 Army projects. And so we worked together on that for several months, and 8 months later, we closed on the $1 billion facility. So we've got a lot of renovation works. We've got about 1,200 new builds that'll be included in that, demolition of some homes that are, aged and really don't meet the needs of our Army families now. We went out, we have resident advisory boards that we formed across our portfolio. So we went out to these boards that are elected by their fellow residents and asked them, what's important in a new home for you, or these renovations we are doing. Got that feedback. We went out and looked at what's the market outside the gate. What are the homes that are selling to soldiers and families, and came back and included those in our planning. And so we got the final approval from General Daly in April, and closed on that loan April the 13th, I believe. So all our development teams are, going guns blazing, and they're out there already starting our renovations. And we've got most of our plans, at least 65% for the new builds accomplished. And so we're ready to execute this summer on a lot of the infrastructure work, and then start our new builds in the fall.
That's pretty incredible. It's amazing how the housing discussion has evolved over the past year and a half. Well, this is great information. I know our members really appreciate it. This has, as you know, direct impacts to their work and how they support their installations and military families. So, Phil, I really want to thank you for coming on today, and I hope to see you in person soon.
That would be awesome. I look forward to that, Matt.